Now it is.
I wanted to ask about the solidarity service. Like, do they keep it in between their own cast, or do they let the cast mix around?
It's from their own cast.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's with their own cast, because I think as they remembered, it's like, they think of everyone else as inferiors. So in other words, there's only certain, like, I think actually they do it by groups of cast, because like, as you can see, the alpha and the betas get along. So in other words, it would just be them. But then I don't think it would be like alphas and deltas, because they look at them as
And
inferior.
plus, they also say like lower caste, like social. Like when they do the solidarity service, they have lower class and then the middle class and then the higher class. So it's all
And then another thing is, I actually don't remember exactly what chapter it was, but I'll find it as we go along. But they were at the golf course, and Lenina was with Henry, I think, and then they were talking about some stations, and then they were talking about how the alphas and the betas had their own station, and then there was another one separate for the other cast, I think, right?
Oh yeah. Like a question I would like to propose is like, why is orgy porgy, or otherwise known as solidarity service, why is this so important to society?
I think it's maybe important because it allows them to connect with each other, like as we think about it, but in truth they're not actually connecting, they're just getting pleasure from each other.
Yeah, they do it to feel as one.
Yeah, cause like, there's a, you know, I don't know if I should say it, but there's a saying that says when you put a penis into a girl's vagina, you become one, so you know they become one.
Okay, well,
So Bernard Marx, he obviously shows
Just keep going.
Alright, yeah, so
You're doing great.
so Bernard Marx's characteristics show that he wants to feel something more. Do you guys think he will express his feelings towards the way society runs? Like, do you think he'll actually take action and do something about it?
like, well, so far, like, as of right now, I don't really think so, because like, let me find the evidence before actually.
I don't think he would because he has always been a bully child. Like from the beginning of the chapters, they have always made fun of him. For example, like when Nina talks to Fanny about like, she wants to go out with him to see the movie. But Fanny's like, you're gonna go out with him. People make fun of him for they think that they make fun of him and think that he got
Alcohol in his blood, right?
yeah, and like how he got chemicals in his bottom, like and how they say it. Let me find it.
Yeah, on page 88 it actually says alcohol in his blood surrogate was Fanny's explanation of every eccentricity. I guess it was about Bernard. It's in the second.
Well, it also explains on page 88 that some people, they don't react to the conditioning, because like someone would say, wasn't like Bernard conditioned too, like to also adapt to society even though he had the surrogate. But like there's like a paragraph that says you can't teach a rhinoceros tricks. Some men are almost like rhinoceros, they don't respond properly to conditioning. Poor devils, Bernard's one of them. Like, so he's saying that he's one of those rhinos that can't, you know, be conditioned.
I guess adding on to what Jesse said, and also to your question, if would actually take action in the future, I don't really think it will. Like, just from like the evidence like presented in the book, especially because like if you think about it, he's always like, he talked to his friend, right, about wanting to be more and actually doing something. He also mentioned that to Lenina, but at the same time, he ends up like sleeping with her, and then in the end, that's kind of also something he didn't really want to do. Like, he in the end, it's like right here it says on page 92, it's like half an hour later they were back in the rooms. Bernard swallowed 4 tablets of soma at a globe. So like, and eventually like he starts giving in to society, trying to belong.
Yeah.
And just because of his characteristic that his height has always haunted him, he wants to try to do whatever is possible to kind of blend in, right, to be integrated and belong, because like that's another thing he couldn't accomplish with the solidarity service. So I guess now he's trying to finally take opportunity.
Why do you guys think that during the solidarity service, Bernard focuses on the girl's eyebrows? Like why do you think Huxley would like emphasize that her eyebrows? I don't know.
Do you recall the page?
Yeah, it's 80. That's page 80. He emphasized this, those black eyebrows of hers, that eyebrow, rather for they met above the nose. Yeah, I guess like why would he emphasize the unibrow?
Uni means one. One in the brow.
I don't really think that's it. I think just trying to point out how much Bernard actually thinks about the situations and everything around him. Like, I mean, he was able to notice the little thing. I mean, if he was like desperate and like really desperate to like fit into society, he wouldn't like have cared, I guess. But like, he's noticing that and it's distracting him. It's just like, I guess it's a representation of how small something can be to distract him and prevent him from belonging to the society.
Like something else about the solidarity service, like I just realized they're taking Soma, right, which is a drug, and the drug makes them feel all happy, right? Now, in reference to the future, these days we have something called joint sessions, and during the joint sessions, people take marijuana, and the marijuana makes them feel happy. So it's like a similarity between Soma and marijuana. So I think Huxley was predicting a future of potheads or something like that.
So what do you guys think about the reservation?
Well, I haven't thought about the reservations, but it's kind of the opposite. I guess the user they're like pretty much hypocrites about the reservations because they're making fun of how they're like unstable and stuff, and like how they make fun of them. Like everything they do is funny. They said in page 106. It's like everything they do is funny, but they don't really look at what they're doing, like how they're screaming at Deltas for giving them such a great service, and then like they don't notice of how like their society is a lot more like theirs because of like how the way they interact is like they think of having sex unites them, and like pretty much in the reservation is like our culture, and like in our culture we see that it's like sometimes like helping each other with something you want and not actually having sex and like, giving somebody else pleasure is
Yeah.
I actually think that they use it as well. I was thinking it in terms of like science and biology and all that kind of stuff, right? When you make experiments, you always have a control group, something to compare the changes you make, right? And so I guess they're using this reservation to kind of compare, right, and demonstrate all the improvements that they make, right, in society. And I'm also comparing it to science just because this whole society is run on science. I mean, engineering, conditioning, the way they work. Yeah. And then another thing I also want to add was I think this is just for the alphas, kind of like a way to keep track of their progress again, because right here on page 88 it says that not more than on the top of the page, like 3 lines down, not more than half a dozen of people in the whole central have ever been inside a savage reservation. As an Alpha Plus psychologist, Bernard was one of the few men she knew entitled to the permit. So in other words, it's like, you know, it's only for the high ranks, right, the caste. So in other words, I think it's only for them to like check the society.
This kind of like an awkward comment. Like, they say they get sperms and eggs, but their women cannot get pregnant. in the Brave New World. They cannot get pregnant and they don't. So pretty much they're like giving something to none of them. And I think it's like also they have this reservation to have something to depend on if something happens to like their society. They could rely on like these people to also help you with everything.
Oh no.
Right?
No, this is a for real question. Like, I was gonna ask, like, do you think that this society, the Brave New World, would like completely fall apart if like one of the ranks were like to not be there or like to rebel one day? Like that possibility would happen if they were to rebel, and you think it would fall apart? How that would-
Absolutely.
Absolutely, but I mean like a rebellion, I don't think so because of, like the book, like according to what the director also said, like every single one of them is conditioned. Pretty much either they are conditioned that by being rebellious, they could create something chaotic for themselves. So by having that mentality in their head, they won't even dare to do that. And like also like you said before, Bernard is a rhinoceros kind of person. So pretty much he has half and half of being conditioned and being a normal human being. So in a way, the kind of rebellion may occur, but it's in a way not.
But also think about it, like you're saying that he's half and half. What if an Elepson or a Gamma or those actually embrace that whole mentality differently? Like he changes, like like why are we doing this? Why are we working like slaves if they're sitting on desks? Like, I forgot when things should happen. They state that they mostly do workers instead of alphas and betas. For example, like when we were in our groups, alphas and betas were less, and electrons and darktones and gammas were more. So if they were to rebel, I think it's like the ants and the grasshoppers from Buzz Lightyear. I don't know the movie. It just came to mind as like the ants were able to rebel because they were more and they were powerful together. So pretty much they'll be able to rebel once we connect to that mentality.
I don't really think they'll be able to like actually like devise like plans to keep everything
Yeah, I don't
like
think they're mentally-
secret. Yeah, because they're not.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point of also keeping them like with low oxygen so they can be done. Like literally. So they can't like come up with a plan or a solution to actually rebel. Where are they gonna get weapons? I mean the only weapons they have are like to work, right?
The electrons are working the switch. They actually like they know the way.
Yeah, but the thing is,
And also, like,
they're not all
they-
gonna unite because, in other words, like every single cast, like either thinks the other cast is inferior or they have to respect them. They're not gonna like eventually work together or be friends. The only ones that you know that can do that are like the alphas or the betas, because they're the only cast that we know so far that actually like communicate and live together. So,
Carlos, they don't need weapons. Like I'll tell you what, look.
go on.
They're sewer workers, right? Now what happens when all the sewer pipes break down and there's no one to take care of them? All the disease spread and then cholera, so then like, their weapon is poop. You know, if they just simply stop doing their jobs, at any rank, if they simply stop doing their jobs, society would fall apart, right? Like what happens if like the people from the electric company decide, hey, like we're not gonna do our jobs today, like there's no lights in the city, you know, and then like vice versa, more and more roles, you know, and little by little society falls down, you know?
Can't they just simply recondition them, or in other words, just eliminate them on, and then just make another population for the next generation? But still, in the end, they would have the society, and then they would just move on. Because over a year or two, like in the questions, they would just forget about all the past, right? Because they're not supposed to think about more than like a year, right? So in other words, there would be no memory from the history. Just go back to normal. And the only ones that would know would be the alpha and the beta.
Or maybe only the director. After the director.
What if someone shot the director?
We're gonna do one.
Yeah, okay.
Over the controller, I don't know if you read the first chapter, but like he has like a special vault, a security safe where he supposedly has Bibles and books and all that stuff. You know, I'm just saying. You know, if anyone were to get those hands on those things, you know, it could start to like the same.
Well, that is true, especially because of how Bernard is. We don't really know.
I think like the director sees Bernard as a threat, a little bit, because he sends him away to Iceland, you know,
Oh, yeah.
to get away from like, because like he sees him as someone that could like
Actually do
something, like, you know. And the best thing would be to send him to a place where there's nothing but ice and that's kind of, you know.
Actually, yeah, it's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
Greenland is where there's snow, and then Iceland.
It's like that.
Venus.
Do you have any final thoughts or comments?
Yeah, I just want to support my evidence about the alpha and beta thing when you were talking about a revolt or something like that. On page 74, like that one big chunk of paragraph right there where Lena's talking about her past, where Lena suddenly remembered an occasion when, as a little girl at school, she had woken up in the middle of the night and become aware for the first time of the whispering that had haunted all her sleeps. And so she starts going on and explaining about when she woke up, and then closer to the end, it mentions fear, that it was the first time she had feared, right? So if they actually like became aware of everything that was happening, right, in society, I don't think they would automatically do something, and they would just get scared. And then with all the conditioning, as we saw how she turned out, she's still like one of the ideals members of society, right? She does everything the norms say, she goes to the solidarity service, all that stuff, right? And as you can see, she witnessed what was going on at some point in her life, and she just continued with it.
Also to connect to what Carly said, I remember in the last academic seminar, they spoke about how Lenina did not know how to react to Bernard's comment about being not wanting to be in the cast. I forgot the page.